Amid growing child safety concerns, social media platform Instagram Vedant has come up with new safety norms for teens. Very important announcement by Instagram. In fact, a far-reaching measure as far as the social media platform is concerned. These new teen accounts have special privacy controls, Vedant. In fact, we know for a fact that Instagram and several other platforms have come under a lot of flack and criticism over the fact that it was not taking up as many measures as far as the safety of teenagers are concerned. And so therefore, these measures have been taken. Many lawsuits were also filed, and Instagram had been playing down risks is something that several of these lawsuits had also said.
That's right. In fact, there's some growing child safety concerns, and who better to decode it than our in-house influencer, Arun Singh, who is now joining us live in the NDTV studio. So, Arun, break it down for us. What does it really mean? You'll of course have stricter norms when it comes to children. You have better privacy controls, also some controls for parents, because there is a growing concern about the increased usage of Instagram and social media platforms, also exposure to content that perhaps is not age appropriate. So just break it down for us what these new measures entail.
Of course, the young generation, the Gen Z or Gen Alpha, is on the gram. So Instagram has come up with some special features of these teen accounts. First of all of these accounts will be private accounts by default. Then there'll be some messaging restrictions. Teens will be placed in the strictest messaging settings is what Instagram claims. But then there'll be some sensitive content restrictions as well. Now, there would be some kind of content which might not violate the content policy of Instagram, but it would still be sexually suggestive. So in those cases, Instagram will automatically restrict it for these teen accounts. And then there'll be limited interactions as well. Teens can only be tagged or mentioned by people they follow. I think this is a very interesting point. And automatically, Instagram will also be hiding words which might be offensive for teens, for young minds. And then very importantly, there'll be time limit reminders. Now, remember, these reminders are also for us as well. I mean, we can also put these on app limits or on Instagram itself. But for teens, they'll get notification telling them to leave the app after 60 minutes each day, and then there'll be sleep mode. Now, this is something which is there for adults as well, which is called the quiet mode. And then you have sleep mode for teenagers here, where it will be turned on between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So that's one aspect of it. But then there is a stricter version of it, which is the supervision, which I am tagging it as stricter, because in this one, parents will be able to supervise their teens' accounts. Now, why do I say that it's stricter? Because parents will get insights into who their teens are chatting with. Now, while they can't read their teens' messages, but they'll still be able to monitor who they are chatting with. So this, I think, is a bit strict. And then they can also set daily time limits for them. And then they can decide how much time their teen can spend on Instagram each day. And again, they can block teens from using Instagram for specific time periods as well, Vedant.
So that's interesting. In fact, the time limit aspect is quite interesting, not just for teens, but people like you and I as well. Given the fact that we end up spending so much time on the gram, particularly when we have influencers like yourself posting.
Doom scrolling.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what happens.
But we've seen always that there is a way to circumvent these restrictions, whether it's with other platforms of Meta or generally whenever we have these kind of norms. Kids do find a way to circumvent it. And how does Instagram really plan to verify their age? Because I think that has been something that came up, when the Australia government also came up with its sort of crackdown on social media, that there is a way to circumvent these restrictions.
Let's accept it, Vedant, when social media really began, and probably our generation, started being on it, and there were age restrictions, but a lot of us have lied about our age. We just, maybe we are putting the right birthday, but a wrong year. But to deal with that, what Instagram has done is that they have put video verification. So you'll have to verify your age by recording a video for them. Of course, it's a video selfie. And then you can ask mutual friends to verify your age as well. And they have collaborated with a company called Coyote, which specializes in online age verification. So they analyze the pixels of your face. So they say that they are not recording anything. They're not saving your data. They're not knowing what your identity is, but then they verify your age, Vedant.
All right, Arun, thanks very much for joining us with the very latest there and breaking it down for us. There are, of course, ways to circumvent it, but of course, as Arun is mentioning, certainly, a welcome step and a good way forward as far as child safety is concerned. Radhika, over to you. I believe we have a guest joining us as well.
That's right, Vedant. Let's go across to our guest, Mishi Chaudhary, General Counsel, Vitru Corporation founder. Mishi, thank you for joining us on NDTV on this very important topic. Of course, my first question to you is, of course, these guidelines have been issued. Now, could these restrictions on teen accounts change the way young users engage in the platform? That's one question. Of course, what is going to be the impact of this? How important was it? And what is going to be the impact, and how effective are these guidelines going to be? Because as Vedant was pointing out, there could be ways to circumvent many of these rules and regulations as far as the social media platforms are concerned, because anonymity is what it is all about. So how effective are these changes going to be in terms of ensuring the safety and security of young users?
Thank you. I think the first thing, whether they're effective or not, we'll have to watch and observe a little bit for some time being to see how effective they are. However, we have seen that many of these apps have regularly exposed children and teenagers to bullying, to pedophiles, to some sexual extortion, and also content that promotes self-harm and eating disorders, which is why the US Surgeon General called for cigarette-like labels on social media to warn of the potential mental health risks. I will say that the US Senate has also passed a law called Kids Online Safety Act, which is coming up for discussion in the House this week. And many of the companies, what they try to do is, before a law can be passed, they try to come up with measures which they can then say, we are voluntarily doing a lot of it, we may not require a law for it. So because the entire issue has been ramped up, there's a lot of discussion. Parents have also expressed a lot of concern about these matters. So it is high time that apps actually take that into account. Some of these measures they should have done for a very long time, but Facebook or Meta, which has been the owner of these properties, I will say, have been saying that they are taking measures since 2007, because that was the first time people had started to complain that there is content which is available on their platform, which is harming young people. Now, as the guest earlier already said, I do think that in many of the countries, it is going to be possible that children are going to try and circumvent this verification method. Many of the kids already have two accounts. One is for parents, the other is for their friends and actual lives. And sometimes that's also beneficial if you are trying to figure out your sexuality or various other things. You want to be able to at least look up for some information. Having said that, the harm is real.
Yes.
And what has happened is that we have actually put a lot of pressure on parents. You decide whether you're going to give them a smartphone or not. You decide whether parental control has to happen or not. And these platforms are not like television.
Yes.
You know, like when we watch television and our parents said you can only watch it for an hour or so, they could control quite a bit.
Yes.
These platforms deploy methodologies as well as algorithms, which
I agree
make
with
it
you.
addictive.
It's a bit of a catch-22 there, given the fact that the times have changed, and our control mechanisms perhaps also need to evolve with the changing times. But thanks very much, Mishi, and thanks, Arun, for being with us in studio.